Well, you couldn't say that Whitney tried to kill herself because Bobbi Kristina wasn't gone. That was the plan in the beginning. Y'all was going to, Bobbi Kristina was found. So now that it was set up so that now if Bobbi Kristina's found, Whitney found her dead, they found her dead in the bathtub, Whitney was going to kill herself. And that was going to be the story. But Bobbi Kristina came through.
Welcome or welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. So greatly appreciate it. Truly, truly is. Yes, I am in the vehicle, my sidekick. Let me give you my usual disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. Please do not take what I say as fact. Please always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Next, if you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out and I really, really appreciate it. And again, this is all very much alleged. So, I decided that I was going to go by a few of Whitney Houston's landmarks. And then, as I'm researching her and researching all these places, I find out that they believe her death, some people believe her death was an actual murder. So, we're starting where she was born, Beth Israel Hospital. Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born on August 9th, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey at the North Beth Israel Hospital to parents Emily Sissy Houston and John Russell Houston Jr. She has two siblings, a half-brother Gary Garland and a second brother Michael Houston. Her parents were both African American, and it is alleged that she has Dutch and Native American ancestry on her mom's side. Her mom, Sissy, was first cousins with Dion and Dee Dee Warwick. Aretha Franklin became her honorary aunt, and Darlene Love later became Whitney's godmother. It has been alleged by Gary Garland that their cousin Dee Dee Warwick, ABUSED, him and Whitney when they were around 8 years old. Whitney's mother, Sissy, and Dee Dee's sister, Dion, say that these claims are unfathomable, rumor, innuendo, and hearsay. Whitney lived in her Newark apartment on William Street until she was about 6 years old. That's when her parents purchased a home on Dodge Street in East Orange, New Jersey. The single-family home was built in 1940, and it is approximately 2,184 square feet. She attended Franklin Elementary School, which is also on Dodge Street in East Orange. The school would later change their name to Whitney E. Houston Academy of Creative and Performing Arts. Whitney was raised in the Baptist Church and began singing at the New Hope Baptist Church when she was just 5 years old. While researching this, I came across the YouTube channel of Bobbi Brown's sister. The channel's called Leola Brown Tells the Absolute Truth. Leola alleges in her video that Whitney confided in her that she was R-worded when she was a small child. This wouldn't seem difficult to believe, but it's the story behind the R-word that is so incredibly disturbing and hard to believe. Leola alleges that when Whitney was very young, she walked out of her bedroom looking for her father who wasn't at home at the time. She says Whitney walked into her mother's bedroom where she found her mother, Sissy, and the pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church in bed together with no clothes on. She says that Whitney closed the door and began to walk away. That's when her mother and the pastor called her back. It is alleged that they made her get into the bed with them, and in no uncertain terms, Whitney lost her virginity to the pastor that day in the bed in front of her mom.
Whitney Houston, and this is not a lie. This is the absolute truth. Whitney Houston was, as a little girl, I don't think she was 12. Whitney said she came out of her room. She said her dad wasn't home this day. She walked into Mama Sissy's room. Mama Sissy was in the room with the pastor. When she went in the room, she saw the pastor laying in the bed with Mommy. So she closed the door back and tried to run. But her mother called her back, and so did the pastor. And her mother said, come in here. And Whitney was forced to get up in that bed with her mother and the pastor.
Is this true? I have no idea. I pray to God that it isn't true, because that is just the most disgusting thing I've heard, and it's absolutely unforgivable. I've watched her channel quite a bit, and it's a tough call, because she, in no uncertain terms, when she is, no, this is the absolute truth. She's telling you, no, this is not, this is the truth. I heard it from her mouth. This is the truth. When she doesn't have the proof, she tells you, I don't have the proof, but I heard it from her mouth. When it's alleged, she tells you, I don't really know, but this is what I think. She's very she sounds like a straight shooter. That's what I'll tell you. Whitney would attend Mount St. Dominic in Caldwell, New Jersey for high school. Mount St. Dominic is actually an all-girls high school that is on the same campus as Caldwell University, which was Caldwell College at the time and was also a Catholic college. Some sources say that Whitney graduated Mount St. Dominic in 1981. There is a prom picture that states that she graduated in June of 1977. Is this a big deal? No, absolutely not. It really doesn't matter to the point of the story. But I like to be as thorough as possible for you guys, and I will also go ahead and diagnose myself with a slight touch of OCD, because little things like this do bother me. I won't bore you guys with the tales of Whitney's success. We all know full well that Whitney Houston is arguably the most amazing singer of our time. Many have tried to be just as good as her, and in my opinion, every one of them has failed, because there will never be another Whitney Houston. That's why, if these claims of murder are true, this tragic story has become more awful than any of us could have ever imagined. Whitney Houston will go on to buy a 12,561 square foot Mendham, New Jersey mansion in 1987 for $2.7 million. The property is situated on 5 acres. It has 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, a 6-car garage, 13 skylights, a game room, a media room, a professional recording studio, a tennis court, a pool house, and an in-ground pool. This home would also be the place that Whitney Houston would marry, in her words, her first love, Bobby Brown, on July 18th, 1992.
A big wedding in New Jersey today. Superstar Whitney Houston tied the knot with super singer Bobby Brown. It happened at Houston's mansion in New Jersey, where neighbors spent the day trying to sneak a peek. Carlos Granda has more.
A mile from Whitney Houston's home, police were checking invitations and driver's licenses to make sure people who didn't belong didn't get in. Neighbors and fans got here hours ahead of time, hoping to catch a glimpse of somebody famous. Who'd you see?
No one yet. We're waiting.
It's nice to see a lot of fancy cars and people making a big deal out of it.
And you just came to see if you could see anyone?
Yep, mostly Kevin Costner.
Whitney placed balloons over her property to keep helicopters and paparazzi away. Since Whitney's favorite number is 7, that was the theme of the wedding. There were 7 bridesmaids, 7 harps, 7 strings, 7 doves, and 7 swans. Lots of media showed up, but photographers were kept blocks away from the house, much to the disappointment of the pros and the amateurs.
Oh, I was hoping maybe I could be the wedding photographer. I was thinking maybe putting some ads up on everybody's limos.
The one question everyone was asking, where's the honeymoon? But with all the secrecy surrounding this wedding, you can bet few people know.
It has been alleged that on the day of the wedding, Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle were making bets with each other to see how long the marriage would last. It lasted 14 years. Her father walked her down the aisle in a $30,000 Mark Bauer dress. After the ceremony was finished, Whitney and Bobbi danced the night away at the mansion with about 700 guests. Then following the wedding, Whitney and Bobbi spent 10 days cruising the French Riviera with Whitney's brother Michael Houston and his wife on a $10,000 a day luxury yacht. Sounds beautiful, minus her brother and sister-in-law being in attendance, but to each his own. Throughout the marriage, there were a plethora of allegations against Bobbi and Whitney involving drug use, alcohol, ABUSE, and DV. Going so far as to say that she was high on cocaine just before walking down the aisle on her wedding day. Rumors about Whitney spread like wildfire. Rumors about Whitney and Bobbi's DV spread like wildfire, and 911 calls were even made by Whitney Houston herself.
Ma'am, I'm at, what's the address? 1014 Kilowatt. Repeat that for me. Repeat the address, ma'am. Hello?
During the filming of The Bodyguard, Whitney would suffer a miscarriage. She said in an interview with Barbara Walters that this was very painful for her, but that she was back to work the following day, and a year later, she gave birth to Bobbi Kristina. Bobby Brown wrote in his memoir that he and Whitney would be in one wing of the house getting high, while Bobbi Kristina was in another part of the house being taken care of by nannies, claiming that it was Whitney's refusal to get clean that was ultimately the downfall of their marriage. After Whitney and Bobbi's divorce, Whitney would end up meeting a friend of her 14-year-old daughter, Bobbi Kristina, while dropping her off at the movies one night. The friend was 17-year-old Nick Gordon. He would end up becoming close to the family, and Whitney considered him a son. Then, a short time into their rapidly growing friendship, Nick's family would decide that they were going to move to Florida. Nick was devastated about leaving, so Whitney invited him to move into the home with her and Bobbi Kristina. And this would set off a whole new chain of events that would leave us all wondering, had Whitney just let Nick Gordon move away, would things be different? Okay, so let's get into the real reasons why we are here. Was Whitney Houston and Bobbi Kristina murdered? Monday, February 6, 2012, Whitney, her team, and her daughter check into room 434 at the Beverly Hilton for the Grammy Awards that were set to take place on Sunday, February 12, 2012. Thursday, February 9th, 2012, Whitney Houston attends a pre-Grammy party that is hosted by R&B singer Kelly Price. During the party, Whitney gets on stage for an impromptu performance. It is alleged that Whitney Houston was taking Xanax and drinking that evening and complaining that her drinks were watered down. Could this be true? Absolutely. Have most of us been there before? Yes. Lord knows I've been there before. Friday, February 10th, 2012, Whitney and Bobbi Kristina are staying at the Beverly Hilton for the Grammy show that Whitney was scheduled to perform at. Whitney and Bobbi have separate but conjoining rooms. Nick Gordon and Ray J are there hanging out with Bobbi Kristina, along with Whitney's sister-in-law, Pat Houston, and Whitney's brother, Gary Garland Houston. Whitney walks into Bobbi Kristina's room and finds her daughter asleep in the bathtub and pulls her out, saving her daughter's life. Leola Brown, who says that when she spoke to her niece about the incident, her recollection of events led Lola to believe that Chrissy was poisoned. What do I mean? Leola Brown states that Bobbi Kristina told her that she had just finished eating her lunch when she began to feel tired and woozy. She decided to take a nap, so she stood up to lock the deadbolt on her door, and that is the last thing that she remembers.
Who put something in Chrissy's food and drink? Because she said she didn't have nothing but lunch and breakfast that day. So somebody put something in my niece's food and drink. And when she went to that deadbolt to lock it, that was all she remembered. She said, but I think she made it back to her bed and laid down. And that's where y'all took her clothes off at. You took her clothes off and put her in that bathtub. Yes, you did. Bobbi Kristina didn't even have water in her lungs. So Chrissy did make it to the bed after she locked that deadbolt. And somebody took all of her clothes off of her because you knew she wasn't going to wake up. You had already spiked her food and drink. But she woke up in that bathtub. And when she woke up, there were security men around her. Her rugs were soaked, she said, from the bathroom all the way to the front door. Her whole room was soaked with water. And when Whitney was found, they said Whitney's room, the room she was found in, was soaked.
Thursday, February 9, Whitney crashed a TV interview with her mentor, Clive Davis, and singers Brandy and Monica. Her hair was dripping wet.
Why are you wet again? I'm not swimming. Okay, I do 2 hours a day.
Later that night, Whitney surprised everyone by joining singer Kelly Price on stage at a pre-Grammy party. No one could have imagined the end was near. The final images of her were taken as she left the party. Her hair messy, her face sweaty.
The following morning, Saturday, February 11th, 2012, Whitney told her goddaughter, Brandy Boyd, what happened, telling her that Chrissy almost died last night. You need to get her away from the water. It's evil.
And I said that I believe her phone was tapped. Everybody running around this hotel ducking her because you don't want to answer her as to why her baby was found in the bathtub and where are her clothes. See, Pat, you're not answering your phone. You sat on Oprah and told Oprah that. I didn't answer her phone call all that day. Why? Why? Because you knew what she wanted. And then Mickey, Whitney's cousin, told me, and now Mickey's dead. Mickey told me that Mama Sissy invited you, Gary, and you, Pat, to her house and asked you all after Whitney's death, what happened to my baby? She's inviting you to dinner so she can sit down and talk to you all because you all ain't said nothing to her about her baby, and she knows that you all know something. But you all jump up and say, oh, that's why you invited us to dinner? Oh, we didn't come here for that.
Whitney had also complained about a sore throat that morning and had actually been complaining about it for a few days prior to this. She even visited her doctor to be treated for it. Sometime between 2:45 and 3 o'clock p.m., Whitney's assistant told her to take a bath to get ready for the evening while she went to run some errands. She says that when she returned back to the hotel room around 3:35, she called for Whitney, but there was no response. She walked into the bathroom and found Whitney face down and unresponsive in the bathtub. She ran to get Whitney's bodyguard. The two pulled her from the water and placed her on the living room floor.
Pat and Gary stole a lot of stuff from Whitney. Yes. And like I said, when her body was found in the hotel and my nephew was sitting there trying to console Chrissy, she had fell on the floor in front of them. Pat and Gary kept stepping over them, he said, instead of them helping him pick Chrissy up. She's hysterical. She just found out her mother was gone. And she like fainted into Gerard's arms. And she's falling on the floor. Pat and Gary are right there. Won't even help pick her up. They so busy staging the scene at the hotel, running back and forth, taking stuff out of the room and putting other stuff in. See, they staged that room so that when the authorities got there, they wanted that room to look a certain way. You understand? Yes, they did this. And it wasn't nothing new because we knew Whitney had plenty of things stolen from her. And she told us out of her own mouth. It was Pat and Gary, mostly, that was stealing from her.
The assistant called downstairs to the desk and told them to call 911. 911 was called at 3:43 p.m. and officers from the Beverly Hills Police Department arrived on the scene at 3:55 p.m.
Now an emergency. Hi, how you doing? This is security from Beverly Hilton. Hi, what's going on there? I need paramedics. Apparently, I got a 46-year-old female found in the bathrooms. That's all I've got right now, but they're requesting paramedics. Oh, okay. Female found in the bathroom. What room is she in? I'm not sure. She fell or she was in the bathroom with the water. 434? I'm sorry. That's room 434? Yes. Okay, and that's not east, west, or anything else? It's room 434? Yeah. Okay, and you don't know if she's conscious of breathing at all? Apparently she wasn't breathing, and she's 46-year-ld. She was not breathing? Yes. Okay, but she is breathing now? I don't know. Okay. She was, the person that called me was irate and couldn't get much out of her. Okay, you have got security going there now. Okay, we'll send police and fire over there with a person not breathing. Did it sound like the person was still not breathing? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, we'll get them there for not breathing. Is there any way you can get me to the room so I can try to do CPR? Yeah, we're going there now. Can you get me into the room so I can try to give CPR instructions? Oh, I'm sorry. No, because she kept hanging up on us. Kept hanging up on you? Yeah. Okay, all right. We're getting our units over there, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Billy.
Life-saving measures were performed, but tragically at 4:46 p.m., Whitney Houston was pronounced dead by paramedics from Rescue 1. Her death would end up being ruled an accident, citing a possible overdose of a narcotic substance, prescription medications, over-the-counter medications, and alcohol. The coroner's report states that there are no The coroner's report states that there are no signs of foul play. But it is in my very unprofessional opinion that nothing in Whitney Houston's autopsy report adds up for me, and I'm going to tell you why. Again, this is my very unprofessional opinion. It is written in the report that the temperature of the bathwater was tested at 9:35 p.m., so that is at least 6 hours after her death, and I'm being very generous with that. And the temperature was 93.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And I even double checked because I'm like, wait, well, maybe it's like Celsius or something? That makes no sense. I checked, it's written multiple times, and it is 93.5 degrees Fahrenheit. There was a 1/4 by 1/16 inch yellow-brown marking on her central forehead. There is a 1 1/4 inch by 5/8 inch yellow-brown marking on her left eyebrow. There was a 5/8 by 1/2 inch yellow-brown marking on the left side of her nose. A 1/4 by 3/16 inch yellow-brown marking at the lateral left nostril. A 3/4 by 1/4 yellow-brown marking on the left forehead with an underlying 5/8 by 1/4 inch contusion. A 3/16 inch superficial incision of the upper lip. 5/8 inch yellow-brown marks on both the clavicular regions and the left upper chest. A 5/8 inch marking on the left breast. An ante-mortem 5 by 3 1/4 inch area of yellow-brown skin slippage with arrhythmia of the superior margin located over the sacrum. There are 3 3/8 inch yellow-brown abrasions on the right elbow. On the back of the right hand is a 3/8 inch contusion and an 11 by 16 inch yellow-brown abrasion. There's an additional yellow-brown abrasion on the tip of the right ring finger that measures 1/8 inch. On the inner surface of the left upper arm, there are 4 contusions that measure 1/4 inch by 3/8 inch. There are 2 yellow-brown abrasions on the left arm around the elbow area, measuring 3/8 inch by 1/4 inch, and another measuring 3/8 inch by 1/3 inch. On the back of the left hand at the knuckle of the ring finger is a small yellow-brown abrasion. On the right leg is a 1/4 inch by 3/8 inch yellow-brown abrasion in the area of the knee. There is a 2.5 inch by 1/8 inch hook-shaped red abrasion of the medial surface of the right lower leg. There is a 2.5 inch zone of skin slippage on the right shin. and a smaller zone of skin slippage at the right ankle. There is a 2.5-inch zone of skin slippage at the right shin and a smaller zone of skin slippage at the right ankle. On the front of the left leg are 3/4 by 1/2 yellow-brown abrasions of the knee and shin. And over the dorsum of the left foot is a 3 by 3-inch area of skin slippage. And that's not even including the other marks on her that I left out that were like breast implants and old scar. I left all that out because it doesn't matter. But that seems like a lot. Okay, so up to this point, Bobbi Kristina almost died in her bathroom yesterday. Whitney Houston is found dead today in her bathtub. In 93-degree weather 6 hours later with all these marks on her. It doesn't make sense to me.
Ray J, let me tell you something. Whitney was not pregnant by you. She was pregnant by my brother. And it wouldn't make no sense for you to kill her if she was pregnant having your baby. Which would it? You would love that. The girl is saying that you killed her after that, finding out that she was pregnant by you. No, y'all knew that that was Bobbi Brown's baby. And that's why Whitney didn't leave that hotel. Y'all didn't want Whitney to marry my brother again. They had just said they were getting married again. They revealed it to my niece. They took her to dinner. Bobbi Kristina called us happy. Mommy and Daddy's getting married again, and Mommy is pregnant by Daddy. Yes. No, Ray J, that was not your baby. How dare you? No, you're not going to get away with that one. No, that was not your baby. Whitney knew that that was Bobbi's baby, okay? No, she was not pregnant by Ray J. Whitney Houston was pregnant by Bobbi Brown. That was my niece or nephew in her stomach when she was murdered. And whoever murdered her knew that Whitney was pregnant. And they knew that her and Bobbi had planned to get married again. And they had just revealed it to my niece.
So I'll be honest, I read through that autopsy report like 3 times and I couldn't find anything about a pregnancy. It never states that she was pregnant at the time, but it also never states that she wasn't.
And if Whitney passed you a letter, Brandy, stating that, tell your brother that I'm pregnant, that was because she knew that y'all was running around that hotel trying to kill her. And she was trying to tell y'all, don't do that to me. I'm pregnant. I'm having a baby. She knew she was trapped in that hotel. But what you ain't going to do is claim that it was yours. No. Now, I don't know what was on that letter, but I knew it had something to do with, I figured it had something to do with you, Ray J, because she knew that y'all was running around there trying to hurt her.
There are alleged pictures floating around of Whitney in her casket. It is alleged that the pictures were taken and released by somebody in the Brown family. In truth, I don't know that these pictures are even real, especially because they're being printed by the National Enquirer. So Leola does touch on it slightly in one of her videos. All she really says is that a Brown family member would never take a picture like that and sell it. More allegations made by Leola Brown include that Whitney's sister-in-law, Pat Houston, stole Whitney's wedding ring and tried to sell it.
And you all remember when Pat's daughter, Rhea, had on Whitney's wedding ring that my brother, boy, let me tell you something. I better not catch nobody with that ring. Get your ring, brother. Get your ring, Bobbi. You paid a lot of money for that ring. There's no way that Pat and them should have that ring. That's Whitney's wedding ring. Rhea had it. She was on line somewhere. I don't know, Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, somewhere like that. They said showing off the ring. Whitney's wedding ring. See, Pat and Gary took that from Whitney. That was probably one of the things that her and Gary took out of that room.
The Houstons have emptied Whitney's bank account on her, and Leola claims she was in the bank with Whitney when she found out that all of her money was taken. Pat Houston, who was a major part of the Whitney movie I Want to Dance, apparently made Bobbi Brown look terrible in this movie. I haven't watched it, so I can't really speak on that. Leola goes on to pretty much say that Pat Houston needs to keep her mouth shut about her brother because her husband has had drug problems his entire life, and she knew this, and she still decided to marry him and have a child with him. You know what? Fair. It's her brother. Stick up for your brother. She says that Pat Houston took money from an insurance policy of Whitney's and that she was the reason that Whitney had to change her will prior to her death to state that if she had any debt that was not related strictly to her, that she refuses for her estate to pay for it.
It was Chrissy's room that Whitney Houston was found in. And that was the room that Pat and Gary were going in back and forth. You all were staging the scene. My brother and my nephew was right there in the hallway. Everybody was in the hallway looking right at you all. Going in and out of that room, taking stuff, putting stuff in, taking stuff out, running. Bobbi Kristina fell right there in the hallway. You stepped over her. You didn't even try to help my nephew, Gerard, with her. He said he couldn't even hold Chrissy up and looked at y'all like, help me. Y'all didn't even help him. You were so busy trying to rush and stage that scene before the authorities got there. Why did you all do that? Why? Ray had already told me the room looked like a tornado hit it. So Whitney was fighting for her life. What did you all hide? What was y'all trying to hide?
Leola states that Whitney hated Pat Houston, that she didn't want her in her home, and when she would call the house, Whitney would curse her out. She says that the pictures of them together in public were staged and forced upon. Leola has a theory about the events that took place at the Beverly Hilton. She believes that the plan was to kill Bobbi Kristina first, hence Bobbi Kristina in the bathtub. Whitney would then find Bobbi Kristina in the bathtub, dead. She would then become so distraught that she would decide to unalive herself.
Well, you couldn't say that Whitney tried to kill herself because Bobbi Kristina wasn't gone. That was the plan in the beginning. Bobbi Kristina was found, so now that it was set up so that now if Bobbi Kristina's found, Whitney found her dead, they found her dead in the bathtub, Whitney was going to kill herself. And that was going to be the story. But Bobbi Kristina came through.
Going on to further allege that Nick Gordon and Ray J were in on the plan and helped execute it.
And videos, I don't know why I always say tapes. Videos of him saying things about how he wished things were different with Whitney and this and that. I really think Ray J knows now that Whitney, I guess from the things that I've said about him, he's angry about that. So that's why he's saying now, oh, I didn't like her. Yeah, she was on drugs. She was on drugs when I wanted her to be and all that. When you wanted her to be? What you mean by that? You see, I believe Ray J spiked Whitney's drink, you guys. I believe that Ray J was in that hotel, him and Nick. They were running around because I believe they used that room, Bobbi Kris's room and Nick's, because I'm sure Bobbi Kristina's room and Nick's, they were adjoining rooms.
Even though it did not play out exactly as expected.
And I heard Nick and 15 other people in my living room heard Nick on a tape say, I'm not going down for Chrissy's death. I'm not taking this. When he beat Chrissy down in the living room, which was orders from somebody, when he didn't think Chrissy was going to make it, he got scared and said, oh, I'm not taking this. I'm not going down for Pat. I'm not taking the fall for Pat on this one. I saved Pat with Whitney. What did he save you from, Pat? Huh? What did he save you from? Yes, that's what Nick said. Is that why he's not here now?
She alleges that Ray J spiked Whitney's drink with something, claiming that Whitney was sober during this time. But the video from Whitney's last night out tells a very different story. Whitney was not sober that evening, and that's completely evident in the video. Is this true? I have no idea. I truly hope not. I do find it very, very, very strange that the two of them died in almost the exact same way. And even more strange that Bobbi Kristina essentially died twice in a bathtub. First the day before her mother died, and then almost exactly 3 years to the day of her mother's anniversary.
The similarities between the way Chrissy and Whitney died, found unconscious in a bathtub, were certainly eerie, also similar. Their burials, both transported in a gold hearse from the same funeral homes, buried side by side in New Jersey, both bodies flown into town on Tyler Perry's private jet. Tyler, in fact, thanked profusely on Chrissy's funeral program.
It's incredibly difficult for me to believe that these three events were completely accidental and involved no foul play. I don't buy it, really. I don't buy it. What do you guys think? All right, so let's talk Bobbi Kristina. It's no secret that Bobbi Kristina struggled with substance abuse quite heavily after her mother's death and even before it. I'll be honest, guys, it still doesn't sit right with me. I feel like you would have a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice before a mother and a daughter could accidentally die the same way 3 times a day apart and then almost 3 years to the day apart. I don't buy it. Once again, Nick Gordon was present when Bobbi Kristina was found face down in the bathtub in her Georgia condo, the same way her mother was found face down in the bathtub. Bobbi Kristina would end up surviving in the hospital for 6 months before taking her final breaths on January 26, 2015. She was first transported to North Fullerton Hospital, where she was diagnosed as having suffered an anoxic brain injury. About a week later, she was transferred to Emory University Hospital and then to the DeKalb Rehabilitation Center before finally being transported to Peachtree Christian Hospice.
The Fox 5 I-Team has learned a woman who treated Bobbi Kristina Brown for a month in hospice care illegally posed as a nurse.
Yeah, that's according to the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and the Duluth Police Department. And tonight, that woman is in jail charged with impersonating a nurse.
Investigators in 2 different counties believe Taiwu Soba Mawau used another nurse's license number who had a similar name to get hired by a hospice care company. And once hired, police say the woman, who wasn't a nurse, took care of one of the nation's most high-profile patients during her final days. That Taiwu Soba Mawau was impersonating a nurse at a Forsyth County hospice care facility, something she had been accused of doing before. During his investigation, Detective Rowe learned that Soba Mawau worked at Peachtree Christian Hospice in Duluth, Georgia. That's the same hospice that treated Bobbi Kristina Brown during her final days before she died this summer.
According to her autopsy report, there were found in Bobbi Kristina's system that included alcohol, marijuana, and morphine, as well as prescription medication for sedation and anxiety, along with a substance that is connected to coke.
Now, there's also breaking news, and it's disturbing. A photo of Bobbi Kristina was taken at her viewing on Friday. It has been sold to a tabloid. I talked to members of the Houston family. They're enraged. I mean, they're outraged by this. They cannot believe that this has happened.
Well, and I understand that photo came from a very private event. Do they have any idea who did this?
It was a very private event. Now, there were 2 separate viewings. There was one for the Houston family. There was one for the Brown family. I've talked to members from the Houston family. It was very controlled when they were there. There were no cameras. There were no cell phones because they didn't want that to get out. It was their last chance to really see Chrissy.
Then came published reports that an unidentified family member had taken a photo of Bobbi Kristina as she lay dying and sold it to a tabloid magazine.
Did you take that photograph?
Hell no.
She was described as well-developed but severely malnourished. She also had several marks and bruisings on her, including a 1/16-inch hypopigmented scar on the left side of the upper lip. 3 scars on the right side of the neck are 1/16 to 3/8 inches in length and cover an area of 3 1/4 by 1 1/4. A 5/8 inch scar is on the right side of the neck. Scars on the left side of the neck range from 1/8 to 3/4 and cover an area of 1 1/2 inches. 2 scars on the right side of the upper torso are 1/2 and 1/4 inch in length. 6 scars on the left side of the upper chest range from 1/8 to 1/4 in length. A 1 1/4 inch oval scar is on the posterior surface of the left shoulder and arm. A 1/4 inch scar is on the anterior surface of the arm. A 2 1/16 inch scar is on the posterior surface of the left forearm. A 1/2 inch scar is on the anterior surface of the left forearm. 4 faint horizontal and obliquely oriented scars on the anterior surface of the left forearm are 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch in length. 2 areas of hyperpigmentation on the anterior surface of the left forearm are 3/4 inches and 1 1/4 inches in length. A 1/8 inch scar is on the posterior surface of the right forearm. On the interior surface of the right foot are 2 areas of hyperpigmentation measuring 1 3/4 inch and 1 1/4 inch in length. Along with this, she was also missing several teeth. However, there were 25 post-mortem x-rays done of the head, torso, and extremities, and no recent nor remote fractures were noted, and no foreign objects were identified.
That shocked the nation.
It's not over. It has just begun.
It happened at the funeral for Whitney Houston's only daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown. This is her aunt, marching right over to reporters. What followed was a verbal tirade that was, in a word, jaw-dropping.
I have information. I have evidence. It's not over. It's not over. I'll be doing interviews, and I'll be speaking out.
As her casket went into the ground, it is something I will never forget. Listening to the wailing of Pat Houston and Sissy Houston. They are devastated. This whole family is devastated.
Were these reports that Tyler Perry threw you out of the church? Are those reports true?
Not at all.
What happened?
I got up, and when I saw Pat making her way to the podium to speak, I turned and I looked at Pat and I said, Pat, this is wrong. You know you're wrong for this. Whitney will haunt you from the grave.
What was wrong that was going on that you would say that Whitney would haunt you from the grave?
The whole setup of the funeral was just not right to me. There were, Chrissy has a lot of nephews. None of them were on the program to be the pallbearers.
I don't know what Leola Brown, her problem with Pat Houston is, but I will tell you this about Pat Houston. She was the first one to the hospital when Bobbi Kristina first fell into that coma. She beat the ambulance there, and she was with her and rearranged her schedule so that someone could be there 24 hours a day to bathe that child and take care of her. And that is why today she could barely walk. Because she was devastated, because that is someone she cared for and loved so much.
After the funeral, friends and family members took a party bus to Pat Houston's home outside Atlanta. They chanted Bobbi Kristina's name when they arrived for what was reportedly a Sweet 16 themed party, something Pat Houston planned because Bobbi Kristina never had a Sweet 16 of her own.
What did you think of a Sweet 16 themed funeral?
Of course it's bizarre. It's crazy. That is the most... At this time, you want to do a Sweet 16? Doesn't make sense to me. You know, a precious life was taken. And you have a big tour bus, party bus, in front of your house?
Following Bobbi Kristina's death, her father, Bobby Brown, would end up suing her then-boyfriend, Nick Gordon, in a $37 million wrongful death lawsuit. However, before Nick Gordon could be held responsible for this role, if any, in the death of Bobbi Kristina, he would be found dead in an Orlando, Florida hotel room after overdosing on a cocktail of tequila shots, marijuana, and the big H. When pictures were released of the hotel room, they would shock everyone. There were pools of a dark, sticky substance found on the floors that was believed to be vomit. Clothes are thrown all over the floor and furniture. soil bedding, a bag of marijuana, and other items of drug paraphernalia that included needles and rubber bands. Nick was at the hotel that night with his co-worker and girlfriend at the time, 28-year-old Ariel. Nick's of choice that evening was black tar, the big H, which is a cheaper but notoriously more potent and dangerous form of the H. She moved to Orlando for work and was staying at the same hotel as 30-year-old Nick Gordon when the two began dating. The two fell asleep that night while watching TV. She says she woke up around midnight and noticed that the bed was wet from either urine or vomit. But because Nick was still snoring and groaning, she just let him be. It wasn't until around 5:05 a.m. when she woke up, she didn't hear him and she was unable to find a pulse that she phoned 911. He was transported to the Altamonte Springs Hospital where he died the following day on January 1st, 2020. He had begun calling himself Nicholas Baller after his father, John Baller. Many believe that this was in an attempt to avoid paying what he owed in the wrongful death suit of Bobbi Kristina. After failing to show up for his court date and his lawyer failing to show up for his court date, the judge ordered Gordon to pay the massive amount of damages. Nick Gordon's rap sheet also included arrests for kidnapping and DV against ex-girlfriend Laura Leal. She claims one night the two were having an argument and Gordon hit her so hard that she wondered if she was dead. All right, guys, if you're still here, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you and I appreciate you so very much. Please go check out Lola Brown's channel. It's really good. She actually has a book coming out, which is supposed to have even more information than she's already put out, which I can't even believe that there could be more to this, but I'm here for it. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet. And until next time, stay safe out there.